So yeah, hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Abhijit, and you're watching Coding for All by Newton School. And in this particular video, I'm gonna answer how much exact Python should you know before jumping into frameworks like Flask or Django. And also, I wanna tell you that only learning Python will not help you to get a lot of stuff in Django, because Django is a big, gigantic framework, and you have to deal with databases, and you have to sometimes you need to like integrate third-party APIs, and sometimes you need to install third-party libraries as well. So only learning Python is not gonna help you. I'm gonna clear you, because our goal is to create some big projects. I'm not talking about any blog application or to-do application that can you start when you are beginner. Just like after learning 7 or 10 or 20 days of Python, you can create those kind of projects, but those kind of projects are not big enough to get you some job, create some startup, or you create some kind of a big application that can solve a real world problem. Our end goal is to create some kind of application that people can use and people can utilize, so that and when some big kind of you can say a lot of people comes onto your application, say your Django application should be able to handle all that possible scenarios. So it's totally clear that only learning Python is not going to help you. You need to learn, and you need to give extra time to a lot of other skills like databases and SQL and HTML CSS, because sometimes you need to create UI as well when you are working with Django. I'm not talking about Django REST framework right here. So in this particular video, we will see all the possible scenarios which where you can start Django, or this much of Python should you should know before jumping directly into Django. So without wasting time, let's get started. So like when you learn Python, you have to deal with sorry, when you start Django, you have you when you hit that particular command, Django admin start project, some name of a project, you get a lot of files. You get first of all your Django project, you get settings.py, you get urls.py, you get init.py, and you need to understand what those files are, what those files help. So first of all, when you hit that particular file called underscore underscore init.py, what that file means and how this file particularly helps you to read that particular directory. Okay, so you need to understand that as well. So when you're starting with Django, you need to learn basics of Python, like how we can import module, how we can start with loops, if else, and all these statements. So basics of Python includes like all the basic means when you are starting printing hello world, printing executing loops, writing conditions, and a lot of other things. Because when you write some logical part in views.py, you need to write all the core Python loop, kind of a thing. When you hit some database, when you get some data from the database, you need to write a for loop which can iterate over it and update the query set. Or you can say you need to check whether like this condition met, so you write like if else, you use Python if else. And you also use list comprehension sometime, so that your code don't look like some you can say big thing. With using list comprehension, you can summarize your code. So like basics of Python includes all the basics like conditionals, conditionals, looping, and other parts of like list comprehension. And all you need to understand the basic data structure like list, dictionary, sets, and other data structure which Python provides like sets. And you need to understand how you can update that particular dict, how you can get the last item, how you can get the most frequent item, the item which has a lot of frequencies in that particular list. So you need to do all the basics like list comprehend sorry, you need to understand all the basic data structures. What are the data structure like list, and what are the operations which we can perform on that particular list, what are the operations which we can perform on that particular dict, and what are the operations which why sets are used, and with the help of sets how you can do this particular task. So the basics of Python included all the data structures and all the possible scenarios which we all the possible methods which you can particularly apply on those data structures. And basics of Python like looping statements, like conditional statements. And when you are done with all these basic data structure, you are ready to start with Django. But don't start Django right from here. Go to more advanced part of Python. Most of the people do mistake when they start, when they like learn if else statement, for loop statement, they directly think that okay, I'm good with Python and now we can I can learn some kind of frameworks like Django, Flask. And they are able to create the pet projects, they are able to create they are able to create and manage the project. But like you are looking for something that is more fruitful, like you can say you are looking for a job. When you apply these kind of stuff, you don't you like when an interviewer asks how you can add decorator, you are just blank. So what you need to do, you need to do more advanced part of Python, like what are decorators, what are generators, and how we can use generator, how we can use decorator to manipulate functions behavior, and how we can use all the advanced Python stuff. And also when you write models in your Django application, you need to understand how classes works, how methods we write, how what is method overloading, how we can override a function. And all these concepts, when you create some big application, all these concepts comes into picture. When you are creating some very small project, all these concepts are totally negotiable. You can neglect all these features. But when you work in a company, when you create some project, when you have to write some code that is totally manageable, totally, you can say a lot of people when are working on that particular project, you need to use all the classes, all the object oriented part. So brush up your object oriented skill, that how classes work, how we can use inheritance. Because when you when you like when sometimes you need to update the behavior of Django classes. Sometimes when you inherit, when you use some third party API, some party libraries, you need to update the behavior. Okay, so let's suppose you are using some kind of library called ABC, and that library helps you to like generate a PDF. And you need to add some more, like you need to add generation of, after generation of PDF, you need to send that particular PDF. And you can say update that particular behavior, you need to generate that PDF in some other format. And so you need to update that. I'm talking about the scenario and not talking about any part of library that okay. So you need to understand what, how you can update that particular behavior. And you can only update that particular behavior once you are brush up your basics of Python, or you can say basics of you can say classes, object oriented part, and other stuff. And after you are done with all the basics of Python, you need to go for advanced Python. Like you need to prepare, you can create some classes like employees and other classes. You can use inheritance, how you can, how inheritance is performed, and what are static methods, what a class method, what is property decorator in Python. You need to understand all these concepts. Because what people do, they neglect all these changes. But when they when they see some kind of code, like they have used some class method, some static method, some property, then they Google just what is property, what is class method, what is static method, and these kind of stuff. And also when you are like working with kind of a Django framework, you need to brush up all your Python skills. Because when and what, in what scenario you need to write all the pure Python logic, you don't have any idea. And when you are done with basics of Python, you also need to learn about a SQL. Because SQL is very important. You need to understand, although we work on Django using ORM, but sometimes you need to understand how SQL works, how MySQL data gets, and how we update. Because sometimes you need to also write the raw SQL as well in Django. So if you have, if your target is for a big job, if your target is for something like big, so definitely do. So if your target is for some big companies, definitely you need to like check for more Python skills. So yeah, before ending this video, I have a very important information. Like if you want to become a full stack developer in just 6 months with minimum guaranteed placement of 5 lakh LPA, Newton School is just for you. What's Newton School? Newton School is an e-learning platform where you can say get learning, get become a full stack developer. And they have a lot of big companies tie-ups which. So before ending this video, I have a very important information. If you want to become a full stack developer in just 6 months with minimum guaranteed placement of 5 lakh LPA, Newton School is just for you. And what's Newton School? Newton School is basically an e-learning platform where you enroll in that particular full stack course and they train you for continuous 6 months. And once you get placed, you need to pay the amount. And until you are learning in the learning phase, you don't need to pay any single amount until you get placed. And the minimum placement is 5 lakh LPA. That means once you get job above 5 LPA, you need to pay the amounts, else you don't need to pay any amount. And a lot of big companies hire from Newton School. You can say a lot of top Indian startup hires from Newton School, and they have like 600 plus companies, partner companies, 7 LPA is the average package, 90% is the placement rate, 26 LPA is the highest package with which they have provided. And a lot of success stories are on Newton School. If you need to check, the link is in the description section. You can check that out. And I hope this is it for the video. Meet you in the next video. Goodbye. Thank you.